could join through Teams. Her name is Lauren. So I don't know if she's already joined or not.
Going. I got called Nagel, Matt Baker. I got called Fort Wayne.
Yeah, because I haven't got her email from her. Do you want me to forward that to you? Yes, please. Can you forward it to me? Thank you. I'm like, let's see how this comes in. I don't know.
Ready? All right. This is Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting, August 13, 2025. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Zamora,
Here.
Harmon, Boutros,
Here.
Larson,
Here.
Vance,
Here.
Whitbeck.
Thank you. We do have a quorum, so we'll move on. Is there any conflict of interest declarations from any of the commissioners?
Yes, I have a conflict on item, the first item, action item for the public hearing for case number 13 for the signage.
Okay, thank you for disclosing that up front. And just by way, you'll be recusing yourself from that vote, correct?
Yes, I'll recuse myself from the vote. I will also be speaking on the item itself, but I am here to obviously make quorum.
Thank you for that disclosure. Moving on, oh, any other? See none, moving on. Item 4, special presentations, which are none. So with that, I'll move on to item 5, which is the consent calendar. I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
That was a motion for Commissioner Boutros and a second for Commissioner Larson. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No one opposed? Item carries. All right, so we'll move on to review of proceedings. So this is a regularly scheduled meeting for the Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission. We serve both in a decision-making capacity and an advisory capacity to the mayor and city council. There are two types of public hearings that this commission conducts. The first is a legislative hearing whereby we formulate recommendations on certain land use requests. Our recommendations are then forwarded onward to the city council, who makes the decisions on legislative matters. The second type of public hearing is quasi-judicial. A quasi-judicial hearing involves the consideration of a land use request such as an annexation, rezone classification, or approval of a subdivision preliminary plat. The public hearing procedures as required by Idaho Code are as follows. Oral and written testimony will be accepted from those who have signed in to speak prior to the hearing being declared open. When providing testimony, please come to the podium and state your name and address, which will be included in the record. Staff will first present a report regarding the application being considered. Following that, public testimony begins. The applicant or the applicant's representative will present a summary of the request for no longer than 10 minutes. Testimony of those in support will be taken, followed by those in a neutral position, and finally those in opposition to the request, and all public testimony will be limited to 3 minutes or less. Finally, the applicant will be offered the opportunity to provide a rebuttal testimony and any follow-up clarification offered by the planner. After the rebuttal testimony is given, the public testimony portion of the public hearing will be closed, and no new oral or written testimony will be allowed. So with that, item 7 on the agenda is old business, which there are none, so moves us to item 8, new business. So this first item is an action item, which is case number SUP 25-13. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chair, there we go. I really don't want to eat the mic. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, good evening. Just for the record, my name is Joe Dodson, principal planner here at the City of Caldwell, 205 South 6th Avenue. I honestly do not remember our zip code, but there we go. No. Before you tonight, the first item is a special use permit for Falcon Ridge Elementary monument sign. Just for clarity, the site, the school, this never works when I want it to. It's on, I promise, I checked. All right, next slide, please. There we go. Site is located on the west side of South Montana, approximately 1,300 feet from the Montana and Karcher intersection. Property address is 14670 Academic Lane. The proposed sign is adjacent to Academic Lane, which is basically the whole south boundary of the property. It is the only access point for the new Falcon Ridge Elementary School located on the property. Nearby uses include the Valley View Middle School directly to the west, charter school to the south, some single-family residential directly to the east along Montana, and then a vacant parcel to the north-northeast, as you can see with no coloring there. Next slide, please. The request before you tonight is for a special use permit to allow an increase in the total monument sign area from 24 square feet to 32 square feet with an electronic message center or reader board, however verbiage you want to use there, that exceeds the allowable square footage within said monument sign. Caldwell City Code 100206 states that the maximum allowable electronic message center area is not to exceed 25% of the allowable total signage. So 25% of the 32 square feet would be about 8 square feet. They are proposing, next slide, they're proposing 16.8 square feet, which is a little over 50% of the total signage square footage. This is hence why they have to submit the SUP. The point of this is twofold, really. It allows staff and the commission an opportunity to review and require any specific changes or just requirements for the signage based upon overall code requirements, vision statements within the code, and other guiding principles that the city may be aiming to accomplish with signs. It's also to ensure that the proposed signage is compatible where it is proposed and in its overall design. For example, electronic message centers can be extremely bright and frankly can be a hazard to drivers at night. I've had this issue with a couple schools nearby where I live. It has been extremely bright for some reason, and it has been a danger. Thankfully, what is being proposed here, the applicant has proposed the correct kind of dimming within the message reader, and as well, because of where it's placed, it is not placed along a public road, and therefore should be minimally invasive to any adjacent properties or residences. Next slide, please. As far as comments, no public agencies, no city departments, nor public comments were received. I did not receive a phone call or anything. The building permit for the monument sign itself is what city staff reviewed and then triggered this SUP. So the engineering department and other departments have already reviewed the monument sign and all that. I believe everybody has approved it except for me because of the SUP. So it's all my fault. Darn code. As far as site-specific conditions, there were none other than to state you comply with what's been submitted. So staff does not have any concerns with the proposal, just we have to do this to ensure that we're being compatible with the neighborhood. Next slide, please. So with that, if the commission approves of this request, since you are the deciding body on an SUP, then it will be subject to the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and order of decision. And we can go to the applicant's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. At this time, I'll have the applicant come up. I don't have the form, so I'm not sure it's the official applicant. Coming up, state your name and address into the record, and you'll have you have up to 10 minutes.
Can you give me 1 second?
Yep.
Aaron Vance, 1814 O'Hara Street, Caldwell, Idaho, 83605. I am the owner of Superior Signs, and I am presenting this sign. One thing I'd like to point out is we provided some other pictures of other signage that we have done for the Valley View School District. We understand that the code has changed, and that's why we are having a staff review at this time. This sign, as you can see from Summit View, which was the last one we did for the Valley View School District, this is the same size message center, same size sign, but much smaller in height, still has the same type of foundation. We try to keep the signs harmonious with the building and everything, as code it asks us to do that as well. We have obviously reduced our size and footprint for this sign. We did this with Warhawk Elementary, which is a sister school to this one in the Nampa School District. It's already been installed and running. It matches to the school as well, just with the colors and everything. Yes, the sign itself does have, it actually has Daktronics is the manufacturer of this message center. They are one of the leaders of manufacturers in the EMC industry. They have gone all the way to the Supreme Court with the whole dimming control system. They have built-in dimming control systems in the sign, so the sign does reduce brightness down to 7% at night. Only during the day, when it has to overpower the sun, when it is at its brightest. But as Joe pointed out, this sign doesn't even sit on the roadway. This sign only will be seen and seen by the actual parents and staff of the school district. It won't even impact the houses within 500 feet of it. So it's one of those, like I said, I don't see it as an invasive. The Skyway Elementary one, when we did it, we also had to go through a public hearing on that one. We had some feedback and everything like that on it from the neighbors. They wanted it to be shut down at a specific time of night. I see no problem with that. It's all very programmable, and I would propose that to the school to, hey, they don't need to run after 10 o'clock at night. There's no one there, no one present. So those are things that I'm willing to propose to the school for this one. The sign itself is of a high quality, and it's something that all schools are using these days to get information out to students and parents, so that they don't have to send out flyers and notices all the time. So it's become a very common practice. Can I go next slide, please? Or do I have the ability to do that? Oh, is that the only one you got? Oh, that's fine. Okay, we had about 7. Caldwell School District is also in part of this. They have 3 other signs right now that I've bid on for this, so it's the similar issue that may come up. When it comes to the message centers themselves, the size that is proposed, and I can understand that staff has reasons that where they suggested it and why. Message centers are one of those things. When it comes to the resolution, there's a millimeter pitch that is involved. The tighter the millimeter pitch, the better the resolution. So that does allow you to shrink the size of the sign down. But, of course, with that, the cost goes up. It's just like buying a really expensive TV with high resolution. So the reason the size of this sign is what it is one, to allow for being able to get the information out in, in an efficient fashion. Because when you're driving along a road, there's at 35 or even 25 if these school zones as they are, you don't have a lot of time to get that information out. So you have to make sure that people can read it one slide at a time, because they're not going to get it all at once. Whereas if you make that so small, no one's going to be able to read it, and they're squinting. And then at that point, as Joe said, then you may have an issue as far as safety goes. So the size increase is for that purpose of, 1, functionality, and 2, for safety in that regard. And also based on what we've done in the past. So that's really all I have.
Thank you. All right. So with that, nobody else has signed up. So I think this is an opportunity for commissioners to ask questions both of the applicant and of staff. Commissioner Boutros.
So I do have a staff question. Would approval of this sign size change constitute precedence for any future signage? It looks like what makes this feasible are a potentially unique set of circumstances. So rather than this look like precedence for future approvals, do we need to attach all of those variable conditions that make this feasible to this approval, so it's not misinterpreted?
Commissioner Boutros, Commission, I would agree with you that it does not set a precedent for the reasons you stated. Because of what they've already submitted and what's discussed in the staff report, I don't know that any motion would need to be inclusive of additional information like that. It's already in the record, I guess you could say.
Okay, so I'm aware that there is a signage workshop with City Council scheduled for October 6th.
Correct.
Is that going to be targeted at revising the code to memorialize signs like this and the variable conditions that make them feasible?
Commissioner Boutros, yes and no. It won't just be about EMCs. It will be broadly discussed about the recent sign code changes that reduced a lot of signage at the request of City Council, including freeway-oriented signs, pole signs in general, monument signage, all of those things. But this would also be part of it, and whether or not we miss the mark on the allowable area, et cetera. But it wouldn't be because of this project alone. It's Superior Signs is not the only one that has reached out. Let me put it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I guess just in my thought to that, and staff, you can, Joe, you can chime in, but I do believe, I mean, the whole point of SUP is that we look at the individual situation, so we're not necessarily creating precedents. If we are, then, you know, that would just be memorialized in maybe in an ordinance and just be straight up allowable. So I do think that we had review this independently. I don't know. I think that's what I heard you say, Joe. Joe.
Mr. Chair, I would agree, yes.
Other
Yeah.
questions, comments for
If I could
staff,
add
for
something-
applicant,
If
Commissioner
I could add something
Larson?
on that, Councilor? Chairman? So this is one of those special situations, and I understand with the code, this is in a residential zone. When it comes to signage, signage are ideally for a commercial application, but there's only two types of businesses or facilities that usually end up in residential, that's churches and schools. So usually in a code, there can be considerations for those. And certain codes do that. And I can point those out. STAR itself actually only allows EMCs for schools and city facilities. Not exactly ideal, but in everything. But there can be exceptions made for these zones, because the idea, like you said, we don't want to impact the neighbors, and that's not our goal here. Our goal is to get information out to helping the schools get information out to the people that it needs to, which is usually the people surrounding the schools. So I think, yes, maybe, like Commissioner Mucho said, maybe there can be some changes. And yes, we do have a workshop. There's a lot to work on, and we are more than willing to help. There's multiple sign companies willing to come forward now and talk about this in a little bit, just to maybe help make this a little simpler, so where, not necessarily that it shouldn't be reviewed by commission, but that it just moves smoother for you guys and for staff. So, yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Larson.
Yeah, Chair, just a question for the applicant. What's the general life expectancy for this one that we're going to put in?
Ideally, I would like to see this 15 years on this. Unfortunately, in the industry, we are seeing such tremendous changes in technology that the typical lifespan is they're saying is 10 years. I have some out there as long as 25 years, but the manufacturer itself is only giving a 10-year lifespan on it before they change out. Case in point, Yote Stadium right now, that is coming up. The sign is 10 years old. We are looking at the idea of moving it and rebuilding it because they're no longer supporting the parts necessary for the sign itself. That comes down to the manufacturer. It's a struggle that I deal with all the time, being able to bring forth a quality product. Like Joe pointed out, signs that were too bright. That went all the way to the Supreme Court years ago. That is a nationally recognized standard that all signs should do that, but not all manufacturers follow that. So me as a good fabricator, I should be bringing forth good quality products that meet those kind of standards. So that is part of the struggle I deal with, is finding those products that are going to meet standards and last, and so they don't fall into degradation, you know.
Cool. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you. Joe, do you have any final plan or clarifications? If not, I think at this time, nobody else signed up. I presume you don't have any further rebuttal at this time?
No, I don't.
Okay, so then I would entertain a motion to close public testimony.
So moved.
That was Commissioner Larson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second for Commissioner Boutros. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, it's time for us to deliberate.
Looks pretty straightforward, and because it's categorized as a special use permit, that mitigates my concern about somehow a flood of applicants coming in asking for the same type of percentage.
Well, and just to a point brought up earlier, I think two things in addition to that. Is just the dimming feature built into this specific product, and two, that this is not necessarily on a roadway. It's, you know, along the roadway for the school itself.
Right, and those are certainly mitigating features that make this feasible.
Any other comments?
No?
If not, I'd entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Larson.
Based upon the testimony, evidence, and record in this matter, and upon the finding of fact and conclusions of law set forth herein, I do hereby recommend, determine, and move that the request for SUP 25-13 for Valley View School District is approved, subject to the conditions of approval as presented or amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second for Commissioner Boutros. Roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Boutros,
Yes.
Zamora,
Yes. And with that, motion carries. So then we'll move on, we'll close that public hearing and move on to the next action item, new business, which is a public hearing, case number ANN 25-7, SPP 25-7. Staff report, please.
Look at that. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commission. Again, Joe Dodson, Principal Planner here at the City of Caldwell. Next one on the docket is Hunter's Path Subdivision, ANN 25-07 and SPP 25-07. Subject site is located northwest of the Marble Front and Aviation Way intersection. It's south of Lincoln Road. It has frontages to Lincoln, Future Aviation along the east boundary, and then Marble Front to the south. It is about 23.86 acres and is currently in the county, hence the annexation request before you tonight. Approved developments and surrounding conditions for the subject site. Typically, when we look at the approved developments, we're only doing residential, but because there's so much going on generally, I did include additional types of development in here just to show that there is a mix of development in the area. And this is a true 1 mile radius within this subdivision. So I won't go through the list, but just to highlight, there's a mix of uses out here that are, residential, commercial, and industrial in nature, including the North Ranch Business Park, which is number 6, Home Depot, which is number 7 there, U-Haul Storage is 8, at least the blue zoning there. The red zoning is actually Prospector Point, which is an affordable unit housing project. Same with the number 9, being a multifamily housing project that's affordable. So I just wanted to highlight a few of those for the area. Directly surrounding the site are actually multiple county zone residential properties. They're not annexed into the city. Its touch is technically, it is to the north, which would be Huntington Ridge East, to the west, which is a city park site, and then to the south, which is R1, but it is an RV park. Directly abutting most of the property boundary are, again, county residential properties, and then to the east, there is also a vacant county property. The requests before you tonight are for annexation of approximately 25.7 acres with an initial zoning request of R2. The annexation does include the adjacent right-of-way area, which is why it's larger than the parcel sizes themselves. They also include a new preliminary plat for Hunter's Path subdivision. As far as the comprehensive plan is concerned, the subject site and all adjacent parcels are designated as Neighborhood 2 on the future land use map. The Neighborhood 2 place type is the primary residential place type in the city of Caldwell. This encompasses residential areas that provide an array of low and medium density housing options. These neighborhoods are located outside of most commercial centers, but should be well connected to commercial areas and nearby services nonetheless. This place type anticipates residential developments with a gross density of 2 to 8 dwelling units per acre. Again, that's gross density, which is low to medium density residential. Compatible zoning districts for the Neighborhood 2 place type are R1, R2, C1, and PD, which is public. In addition, the subject site has an area hub, which is delineated in this dashed circle around, probably the first time you guys have seen an application with that. Generally, the only real thing it contemplates within the comp plan is it is anticipated to include areas that are encourage density, essentially, within even these neighborhood areas, because they're supposed to be activity centers, essentially. They're supposed to be near institutions like a school or other public facilities or commercial corridors. In this case, there is a school, Van Buren Elementary, to the southwest, and a city future park site directly to the west, but it is owned by the city currently. It also says that the minimum gross density should be 4 units per acre. Based on the submitted plan, staff does find the proposed development is consistent with the comp plan and the area hub designation. Because it proposes a transitional housing type of detached single family with different lot sizes, which I'll get into shortly, and a gross density of 5.2 units per acre. As noted, the application does request an initial zoning of R2. R2 is a compatible zone, as I listed, for the Neighborhood 2 designation. There's also R2, adjacent on the southeast corner there. R2 does permit a number of residential housing types varying from detached single-family, attached single-family, as well as, I believe, duplexes and triplexes. They are proposing detached single-family throughout this subdivision, and those single-family detached is permitted directly within the R2 district. So, therefore, looking at the comp plan and as well as the zoning ordinance as far as mission statements and everything for that for the R2, staff does find it's compatible in this location because it transitions from the RV park to the south as well as the institutional uses to the west. As it transitions to the north, it'll be a medium density to the low density that's proposed or already approved in Huntington Ridge East to the north. As far as the development specifically, the preliminary plat includes 125 single-family lots on the 23.86 acres, which again is 5.2 units per acre. They generally provide 40-foot and 50-foot wide lots to offer some variety in each individual site and building designs. Plat also depicts open space lots adjacent to adjacent outparcels where feasible, and they provide substreets in logical locations where future connectivity can occur. The proposed plat depicts compliance with all zoning ordinances except for landscape items, and those have been conditioned as you've seen within the staff report. Therefore, staff does not have any specific concerns with what has been proposed. There's no glaring red flags that staff found here. The minimum lot size for the R2 zone is 4,000 square feet. This plat is proposed with a minimum lot size of 4,360, give or take, but has an average lot size of approximately 5,000 square feet. And therefore, it's consistent with the R2 zone. Development is proposed to be completed in 2 phases, with phase 1 including their required accesses to Lincoln and Marblefront to make sure that they have their required fire access. The applicant is proposing 2.8 acres of qualifying open space, which is about 11.7%. A minimum 10% is required, so they are exceeding their open space requirement. They are also, just to highlight, including a pathway connection along the west boundary that's wider than what code would require, and this would be for future connectivity to the city park site there. I do not have specific timing on that. I do know that city engineer as well as the Parks and Rec director have met with planning about this site, so I know it's at least on our minds. As far as amenities are concerned, they are proposing multiple amenities where none are required in code for a base level subdivision. Amenities include a shade structure, a wildflower garden with seating, multiple multi-use lawn areas, and multiple play areas that include a traditional playground as well as a nature play area. And I'm sure the applicant will describe those in much greater detail than I'm able to. Engineering and planning reviewed the plat for access and utilities, and all utilities and access will be provided and have been considered compliant with code requirements. Therefore, there are no concerns from any of the city departments regarding that. Project was notified per state statute. The Caldwell School District, Compass, our MPO, our Metropolitan Planning Organization, and ITD, as well as Franklin Ditch Company, responded to the application. Caldwell School District provided general information for anticipated schools on where they would attend and noted that the potential children within the proposed subdivision should be able to be accommodated by the district. They just noted a lack of pedestrian facilities between the subdivision and Van Buren Elementary, which is of course because the outparcels. Through the engineering department's review, they are requiring a number of sidewalks along the outparcels to help mitigate this issue, which is typical of every subdivision when there are outparcels adjacent to a project like this. Compass provided their Communities in Motion checklist, did not raise any glaring issues. They don't support or not support projects, they just provide information. ITD noted the proximity of the project to Highway 2026 and recognized that all of the mitigation recommendations within the TIS, but noted that they do not include any ITD facilities, and they had no additional comments, so ITD was not concerned. The Franklin Ditch Company just submitted their bylaws and then provided a general caution about overall water usage throughout the entire county. No public comments were received prior to the hearing, at least not that I was aware of at all, no written and/or any phone calls to me. Again, any of the site-specific conditions that were in the staff report just dealt with landscape items and then the 8-foot community pathway requirement. And again, staff is not concerned with the applicant complying with these requirements prior to city council. Therefore, if commission recommends approval of the annexation and preliminary plat requests, I just request that, why is it skipping? There we go. That the subject approval is, or recommendation is subject to the conditions within the findings. And that is it for me.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we'll ask the applicant to come on up. Sabrina? Name and address, and then you'll have up to 10 minutes.
You bet. Can we PowerPoint? And is it this button? Okay. Okay, let's go. Chairman, members of the commission, hello and good evening. For the record, my name is Sabrina Durchie, and I am here on behalf of the applicant. My business address is 5179 South Boven Avenue, Boise, Idaho 83716. And this evening, I am super excited to present to you our applications for Hunter's Path subdivision. So first, let me welcome you to the entrance point for Hunter's Path. Hunter's Path is envisioned as a welcoming, vibrant, and thoughtfully planned community that future residents will be proud to call home. In designing and theming the subdivision, we incorporated layers of rustic charm, wood, stone, wildflowers, and evergreens to create an elegant yet casual feel throughout the neighborhood. The site design features generous open spaces, carefully curated amenities, and a variety of well-sized lots. Together, these elements foster robust quality of life and a strong sense of community for our future homeowners. Here's one of our great entrances off of Marble Front. This view highlights the mix of materials and a raised planter bed that will be landscaped to offer a little pop of color to visitors as they enter the community. On our second entrance, this is from Lincoln, features a beautifully landscaped island with an entry monument that mirrors the style and elegance of our marble front entrance, while offering its own distinctive character. The blend of natural stone, refined detailing, and seasonal planning creates another welcoming gateway entrance into our community. So, as Joe has noted, with Hunter's Path, we are requesting an annexation, zoning of R2, and a preliminary plat. We are requesting 125 single-family residential lots with 26 common lots. Our gross density is 5.24 units per acre, and our residential lot sizes are ranging a little bit over 4,000 square feet to a little bit over 9,000 square feet. So with your newly adopted comprehensive plan and zoning code, this area has been designated as Neighborhood 2. The goal for Neighborhood 2 is to serve areas near major centers and activity hubs that Joe had mentioned. Given the site's proximity to a rapidly expanding Highway 2026 corridor with its growing concentration of commercial and industrial employment centers, Hunter's Path will meet the critical need for residential housing in this key area of Caldwell. Our community will offer a well-balanced array of mid-density housing options, ensuring opportunities for a variety of households and lifestyles. And we believe our applications aligns beautifully with this vision, delivering a thoughtfully planned neighborhood that complements the city's comprehensive plan goals. So, to better understand how the site fits into the broader area, let's look at the surrounding context in detail. To the north, as Joe had noted, we have Huntington Ridge Phases 1 and 2, and Phase 2 is currently under construction. To the northwest, we have another school, it's Mosaics Public School, and then River Bluff Subdivision. To the east, we have unincorporated county parcels. To the south, we have several single-family residential subdivisions, including Voyage Crossing, Montecito Park, Marble Valley, and then we also have directly south the Sun Creek Point RV Park. To the west, we have the Van Buren Elementary School with the city park that's directly west of our site. And this park's going to create kind of a gateway between our community and the schools and the surrounding neighborhoods. And so we feel like Hunter's Path is strategically situated among established residential neighborhoods, educational facilities, and a planned community park. And it really creates a seamless extension for the existing area. For utilities, we are near or adjacent to our site. For water, service will be provided by an existing water main within Lincoln. For sewer, we'll reconnect to an existing manhole that's also located in Lincoln Road. And then for the PI, we'll be providing and connecting to an existing pump house north of Huntington Ridge. And any upgrades or connections to this will be coordinated with the City of Caldwell prior connection to the system. This site, we're planning on constructing within 2 phases. Construction timing will, of course, be determined by market conditions, but we're estimating phase 1 start in fall of 2026 or spring of 2027. We held a neighborhood meeting on May 12th at the Van Buren Elementary School. During the meeting, the neighbors expressed some concern with their irrigation water. So while Idaho State Code requires all developers to convey the existing water rights to each water user, I really wanted to alleviate their concerns. And so we conducted 2 on-site meetings with the neighbors, kind of focused on walking the back of their property, looking at where their irrigation water conveyance is, and then really to design a plan that's going to help meet their needs. So based on all that information that was collected and our engineers were able to provide this following plan, and you kind of see it, but in the purple line as the slide shows the rerouting of the irrigation water that will provide water to all the surrounding users. One of the other suggestions that a neighbor recommended was to swap out some of the larger lots. We had 50-foot wide lots up against Lincoln to swap them out next to theirs. And so this exhibit shows that change in the lot sizes, but I didn't have time to update everything, so I'll make sure it's updated before City Council for you. So, open space. So in every community I design, open space, usable open space is a top priority, for it sets our foundation for our community's amenities, pathways, and interconnectivity. In Hunter's Path, we have thoughtfully designed 2.8 acres of qualified open space, which represents 11.74% of the site. And pathway connectivity and walkability is also a priority. So in purple, it depicts our community sidewalks. Orange depicts our micro pathways that fan out throughout the site. And green illustrates our 8-foot community pathway that provides connection from the east to the west of the site. And Joe had mentioned this, but I just wanted to bring this up. In addition to the pathways highlighted, we'll be providing a pathway to the west, connecting to the proposed future park. This connection will offer a safe, open view fencing to ensure safe route for residents, especially children, to access both Van Buren and the Mosaic Public School. In Hunter's Path, we have designed to include 3 pocket parks within the community, and this slide shows each park's location. Our first park will serve as our focal point for Hunter's Path. It's thoughtfully designed and has space that encourages connection, activity, and outdoor engagement. We will have a shade structure with a picnic area, an active component. Our community will provide a playground, play logs with 2 distinct play areas to design and entertain children of different ages. And then we'll have bike parking and comfortable seating for the parents. And this slide shows the entrance point off the road as you walk in, outlining all the amenities I just discussed. And this is my favorite park because this is our envisioned peaceful wildflower garden, providing residents kind of a tranquil sanctuary to unwind and reflect and gather. And it is really the heart, at the heart of it, the park will featurize a centralized seating area, thoughtfully arranged with natural boulders, surrounded by native wildflowers that change with the seasons. And here's the walking path that accesses this park. We feel that this serene space complements the more active elements that I had in the first park, ensuring residents have a diverse outdoor environments that cater to both recreation and peaceful contemplation. And then our final, third little pocket park is designed as more passive space, but it's featuring a versatile multi-use lawn that accommodate a variety of informal activities. Comfortable seating will be provided. And it was also, we're incorporating some additional wildflowers just to kind of complement our previous park and tie everything in seamlessly together. And quickly to summarize, we feel that Hunter's Path is a thoughtfully planned, designed to offer a balanced blend of elegant and rustic charm. It's situated near major commercial employment hubs, as I noted, and it provides a well-rounded selection of mid-density housing options. The neighborhood's design emphasizes connectivity and a quality of life, featuring open spaces, diverse amenities, and safe pathways that link residents to nearby schools and a future park. And overall, we feel that it really complements the City of Caldwell's long-term vision for growth and livability. And with that, I'd like to thank staff for their guidance and help. And on that note, I'd like to thank you for your time, your consideration, and the opportunity to present our project this evening, and respectively request a recommendation of approval to City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, questions from commissioners for either the applicant or staff? Commissioner Vance.
I have a question. When it comes to the lot sizes and everything, we mentioned the minimum was 4,000, right? I'm looking at the neighboring subdivisions all around. Do you have any kind of measurement of the width of these subdivisions as far as like the street frontage and everything on that?
Chairman, Commissioner Vance, I do not. And those would be under the old zoning code, which had, I think, different zoning standards. This is under the new code for the R2, so.
I'm just noticing an average of about anywhere, looking at the other subdivisions, anywhere from 57 feet to 63 feet. You know, I'm thinking about the size and how
Sure.
compact it looks. Just looking at the map that you've provided here, it seems like these are very tight. You know, and I mean, obviously, I realize it's a line drawing, but just wanted to make sure there was adequate space for all the construction and, you know, the
Oh,
density.
Absolutely, and of course, we're meeting all the minimum standards for the zoning code and open space, so, yes.
Mr. Chair, just to piggyback off of that, I agree with the applicant there. Most of those subdivisions, I think, they may have even been approved in a different version of the R1 zone, which had a 6,000 square foot lot size. So I think that's why they're measuring probably 57 foot
bigger,
wide, 63. So they're slightly bigger, yeah. And then I even believe Huntington Ridge east to the north, which may not have lines on it in
No, it
your
doesn't.
maps, that was a PUD, and they had smaller lot sizes than what R1 allowed. So there's a mix for sure
Okay.
in the area.
I have a question. So, one of the slides you shared how, and you made a comment about replacing some of the bigger lots next to the out parcels. Can you
Yeah,
kind of
let's go
dive
back
into
to
that
that.
a little bit more, please?
Absolutely. Sorry. We'll get there eventually, sorry, guys. Okay, here it is. Yes, and so the neighbor is here. Michael and Karen, they're neighbors directly south, completely lovely. And I've been talking with them. I've been meeting them on site to talk about irrigation. And Karen was like, you know, I see those larger lots up at Lincoln. Would it be possible if we could maybe swap them? And I'm like, yeah, we'll take a look at it. And it totally worked. The numbers were the same, which kept my client happy. And it seemed like Karen was happy with the overall change. But again, it just happened, so I need to get the pre-plat updated. I'll need to get the landscape updated with some of the comments that Joe had conditioned before City Council. So,
And so is that in the conditions, Joe?
Mr. Chair, no, because at the time I didn't know either. If they wanted to make that change between commission and council, they can do that anyways. If you guys want to make sure, just to cover our butts, include it as an additional condition on your recommendation, totally fine as well. And staff does support that change as well, to just make the 50-foot wide lots adjacent to the county parcels. Totally agree.
That was my question. Any other question? Commissioner Boutros?
So I have a couple of questions that touch on the capital improvement plan. But Joe, you're going to have part of this as well. Has ITD committed to evaluating the southbound right turn lane at Aviation Way and Highway 2026? Their letter on page 175 of the application states they accept a traffic impact study with no further recommendations or requirements.
Councilor Boutros, I do not believe that ITD has plans at this time to further evaluate that right turn lane. My understanding is that that highway and Aviation Way are fully built out to their completion at that location, so they would not have plans to do any further improvements at that area.
Okay. Is the recommended sidewalk between this development and Van Buren Elementary School in the capital improvement plan?
Sorry, our transportation capital improvement plan does not include a pathway. I'm wondering if our pathways plan does include it. I know, Joe, we were going to be redoing our pathway plan. Do you have that pulled up by chance?
I do not, I apologize. I also, just for clarification, Commissioner Boutros, do you mean pathway or do you mean the sidewalk, like along Marble Front?
The sidewalk, because there was a recommendation for a proper sidewalk between this development and Van Buren Elementary.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the sidewalk on Marble Front Road, we would not be asking the applicant from engineering's standpoint to complete the sidewalk all the way along Marble Front.
Which is why I was asking if there's separate funding for it.
Oh, okay, I see. At this time, we do not have separate funding set aside for that specifically, but I'd be happy to speak with my Public Works Department and look at it. Other options would be for those property owners to enter into an LID agreement with the city so that we could complete the sidewalk.
Okay, so my last question on like this is the northern extension of Aviation Way between Marble Front Road and Lincoln Road in the capital improvement plan?
The Aviation Road extension is not in the capital improvement plan, but it is in our long-term, just what our roadway plans are. It's anticipated as a part of our roadway network, but it's not in the capital improvement plan specifically.
Okay, so there's no specific commitment to get that road extended. And the reason I ask is, right now, traffic between Marble Front and Lincoln is forced to either Mason Road, which is a little rural road, or Georgia up on the hill. People will use this development as a way to get through, and that's probably bad for this development. So the extension of Aviation Way is something that I think is necessary in order to make a development like this feasible. All right, thank you for the answers.
Do you want me to add to that?
Sure.
The extension of Aviation Road cannot occur until the properties surrounding it develop, because we do not currently have the right-of-way for the city to go in and expand and create Aviation Road at this location. So the applicant is required to complete their half-street improvements of Aviation Road. We also have included that if the city is able to get the right-of-way of the two out parcels along Aviation, that the applicant would also be required to complete those half-street improvements in front of those out parcels, with the second half of the road would be constructed when the east side of it develops.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Joe, I noted in the application that the master land use application is blank except for the applicant's signature. The annexation checklist is blank. Section 4, the project-specific details, is blank. Section 6, the applicant acknowledgement is blank except for the applicant's signature. Is that of any consequence? I mean, we've got a lot of blank documents that look like they've been pre-signed.
Mr. Chair, Commission, I'm not sure why that's showing like that. The copies that I have found in my records aren't blank, so I'm I'm
Well,
not sure.
It's what was distributed in the packet, the agenda packet.
That's fair. As far as procedural, that's fine. Frankly, I don't look at them anyways. I look at data in other areas, but as far as what we're doing tonight, no, that should not be an
Okay,
issue.
thank you. I have no further questions.
Any other questions for applicant or staff?
I want to touch a
Babs.
little bit about on what Commissioner Boutros talked about with the Aviation Way. So you said it's in the long-term plan. Obviously, I understand that until that other property develops, we can't really do anything with that. But that being the case, looking at the layout that you have for this, wouldn't it make sense to, with the idea that aviation is going to eventually go through, look at the idea of an exit being put on aviation as it would be the major artery to service the highway at that point in time? So I noticed that there's a common lot there, I mean, which, again, you're only at 11% of the minimum 10%. But that being the case, wouldn't maybe getting rid of one lot for that future expansion be a good idea?
The engineering department typically doesn't dictate to the applicant where they must take their access, so long as it meets our access spacing requirements. To my understanding, the proposed development meets the emergency access requirements. It meets all of engineering spacing requirements, and the traffic study didn't show that there was going to be a conflict with the accesses taken purely just from Lincoln Road and Marble Front. So from engineering's perspective, there wasn't anything that was violating code or a safety violation that would dictate that we need to require the applicant to add another access point.
Even for future expansion? Because I agree with Commissioner Boutros. I know these lots and I know the subdivisions. They do get driven through constantly by people trying to access Lincoln from Marble Front. I drive Mason almost every day, and I feel like that will happen. So aviation going forward would be a good plan, and for this community itself, an access on aviation would make sense. Just, again, long-term planning, you speak to long-term planning, I speak to really long-term planning for Caldwell. So that's just my thoughts.
But it does sound like there could be some serious legal impediments to ever getting those rights of way to be able to continue aviation way through to Lincoln.
Well, the way they have it shown even on the irrigation map, it sounds like the line is drawn already for aviation to continue through next to the existing, there's two properties that would pose the issue, and it looks like the line is drawn next to those, is that correct?
I believe that the line was drawn on this plat to show what the future build-out would be for the curb gutter sidewalk, to give the commission and staff and council the full idea of what their half section of aviation road would look like. To my knowledge, and as I'm seeing on our current mapping system, the city does not own any right-of-way for aviation from Marble Front to Lincoln Road. So we could not dictate to the property owners, and I'm sure some of them might be here this evening. We could not take that right-of-way without negotiating with them first.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
in conjunction with that, I would just like to note that the whole roadway hierarchy that would be in place out here, I might be speaking a little out of my engineering hat here, but minimizing access points out to arterials, which Aviation Way would be welcomed. I mean, if you have none out there, that'd be ideal in a lot of capacity too. Having extra avenues in and out of a subdivision, you hit a certain point and then they become pointless or create more traffic issues when you can funnel them to different areas. Should it be extended in the future? Obviously, that's in our long-term plan, but in the context of they have an avenue from Lincoln all the way down to Marble Front through the subdivision, through local roads, again, you want to funnel them to the collector first and then to the arterial, which is what is being proposed tonight. So I just wanted to note that through roadway hierarchy, they are meeting what the thought process is there. And I believe the traffic engineer who's online with the applicant would speak even better to that than I can too.
Yes. I did want to mention Lauren with Kittleson and Associates is online, so she can maybe answer some of your questions, commissioners, if you'd like. And then I did want to add, Commissioner Boutros, I did fill out all those applications, so don't think I didn't. So just so you know. And then as far as, we did originally take a look at taking access off of Aviation, but we were so concerned with them not getting the necessary right-of-way that it would be a road that kind of just went nowhere. And
Kind
so,
of like the run that reads up to the property, that cuts through the property.
yeah, and
Pretty
so.
much you got two of those already.
Yeah, so we thought that with Lincoln and Marble Front would be better, and especially for fire to meet the fire
Right, to meet
safety,
fire.
public safety standards, so. Great.
I also want to point out that your entry sign on
Yes.
Marble Front is in the vision triangle.
It shouldn't be. I'll have to
Literally
tell
cuts right through
Emily.
it.
Okay, I'll
Wall-
double
Wall
check.
structure is right in it.
Okay, I'll
Granted,
double
it's
check.
the lower wall section, that's personal. That's
Okay.
what I do.
Thank you, Chairman, thank you, Commissioner. I'll double check that.
Other questions, comments? All right, with
Okay.
that, thank you.
Thank you.
We have just no one else signed up in favor nor neutral. We have one person signed up in opposition that chose not to speak. That's Dalen Swanson. Would you like to speak or still no? Okay, but in opposition. No one else signed up for public testimony. Sabrina, we had kind of had a dialogue. Any final comments for your rebuttal?
I'll keep it really short. I think I covered it well through my presentation, but we feel like Hunter's Path is going to be a great community. And whenever I do a subdivision, the neighbors always come first because they're here before us. And so I've taken a lot of effort to get to know the neighbors, understand their concerns, and I'm going to make sure the irrigation water and everything's addressed to their satisfaction. And overall, super excited to present it again, and thank you for your time, and looking for a recommendation of approval. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Okay.
With that, any final comments? Joe?
Mr. Chair, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, just one final clarification on the TIS and the southbound right turn lane that was discussed at the Aviation in 2026. TIS noted that, and ITD agreed because they didn't object, that the intersection overall functions properly, both now and with the proposed anticipated build-out. The one lane, which is just the southbound right turn lane, they said, would be over their VC ratio, which I believe is just vehicle count ratio. And that was it. So overall, ITD was fine with that and accepted that TIS as such. And they, thankfully, in the future, they said the only thing that would be needed to mitigate it would be to just change the striping, essentially. So if ITD chooses to do that, that's on them. It's not, the city can't even dictate that for them. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Understood, thank you.
That was only during peak hours too, if I remember reading that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, and Commissioners, I did want to note, for the park, I hope that with our pathway and that the school will be involved in the park design, and so that can create some safer pathways for the kids to access the school so they don't have to be on Marble Front and Lincoln. I'm assuming that'll be a goal, so I'm hoping that that will be a discussion when the park's being planned, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to close public testimony.
So moved.
Commissioner Larson.
Second.
Second for Commissioner Boutros. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so now it's time for us to dialogue and come to a decision. Commissioners?
I mean, the flow of traffic was my chief concern, but Joe brought up a good point, is funneling to a minor arterial then to a major. So that kind of, and the fact that they already have lanes for traffic going in and out, that makes a lot of sense to me. So, seems good to me.
Commissioner Boutros?
So, I'm concerned about the R2 zoning. The rationale for that's weak. The surrounding developments are mostly R1, and this development should also be R1 to be compatible, and it wraps around low-density properties. It's a very unusual shape. Normally, we're used to seeing developments go in and get a whole big section. In this case, they're wrapping around very low-density properties that look like they were the farmhouses at one time. I am concerned about R2. I'm concerned about the very small lots. I am not pleased that kids are probably not going to be allowed to walk along Marble Front. It's a little bit too busy to get to the school. I think it's incompatible with the surrounding area, and I would be in favor of denial.
If I could, I would like to speak to that just a little bit.
Commissioner Hines.
So the specific lot R35120 and R35120-1, I knew the previous owners of those. I did talk to them about this and everything. They were aware of what was going in here. They did not think the density would be as high as it is. They also were not aware of an entry being put in on Marble Front. They thought all of it was going to be serviced from Lincoln. So I can understand your point on the density, and there's a little miscommunication. They did sell the property because they were not able to, for lack of farmers to farm the land and everything, to keep the county, the county requirements for a county property. So that's why it's also being annexed in, so I just wanted to add those points in.
It would have been good if they provided testimony.
They're unfortunately in Riggins.
Yeah.
They
Well,
can't be here today.
Yeah, and the reality is that they didn't either way,
Right,
including
either
in
way, they
opposition.
knew it was okay, that's what's okay with them.
And so, and I hear you, Commissioner Boutros. I agree. I think that in looking at the various elements of this, I think this is a very thoughtfully planned development. I appreciate, and were it to be approved, I would love to vote in favor of approval with the additional condition of the 50 foot lots closer to, adjacent to those south out parcels. And I think to that end, I think that for me, certainly we hear a lot of testimony from a lot of different developments. We have certainly one person in opposition, but also schools also often comes up as consideration. There was nothing there for that, and I do think this is an area that's going to clearly be developed just the way where it's at. It's certainly not. It's going to continue to be farmland. It doesn't appear, and so I think that this is a very thoughtful one that butts up to a school and and the park. And I think there's a lot of serendipitous, cohesive elements here that I am in favor of. Other comments from commissioners? Commissioner Larson?
Yeah, the only thing I'm kind of concerned about is the density. Other than that, I think everything looks pretty reasonable. They're meeting all the code. They're trying to provide more open space. So I think overall the project is a good project. I just, the density is the concern that I hear from people who live in the city. But I think in this spot where it's at, I mean, I lived at Voyage Crossing for a little bit, and it was maybe a little less dense than this, but similar. So I guess it's kind of close. But yeah, that's the only concern that I have is the density. But it meets the code. It's 2 to 8, and I think that council right now is going for more of a dense approach. So even if we say yes or no, I think they're going to say yes. So so I'm leaning towards yes, but yeah, I think it's the situation where it's in, because it's near the park and the school. I think having more density and then making that pathway safe is the best approach going forward.
Where they're going to put in a city park to open up the area for more communal property right there, that's a future plan. I mean, yes, the city code has adopted a more denser plan, and it does meet that requirement, so.
Other comments from commissioners? If not, I would entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion. Based upon the testimony and evidence and records of this matter, and upon the finding of facts and conclusions of law set forth herein, I do hereby determine and move that the request for annexation of 4 parcels with a zoning R-2 neighborhood residential and a preliminary plat SPP 25-7 for the Hunters Path subdivision is recommended for approval, subject to the conditions approved as presented or amended, with the condition of the 55-foot lots being put on the south portion as presented.
Thank you. There was a motion for Commissioner Larson. Is there a second?
A second.
Second for Commissioner Vance. Roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Vance,
Yes.
Zamora,
Yes.
Boutros,
No.
And with that, motion carries. And we move, and we'll close that public hearing and move on to the next action item on our agenda. It's action item Site B Urban Renewal Plan. Staff report, please. Let's go ahead.
Mr. Chair, it'll be just the applicant. Staff does not have any presentation for this, just to let you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Mark Hilty. My business address is 1303 12th Avenue Road in Nampa. I'm appearing before you in my role as the attorney for the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency on this matter. Before you tonight is a request to compile a comprehensive plan analysis of the Site B Urban Renewal Plan, which has been working its way through the process of approval. And so I'm going to present a little bit about that plan to you tonight, and then ask you, as is required by the statute, for you to take a look at a comprehensive plan analysis. The plan was originated really by a developer who came to the Urban Renewal Agency late last year, Lee Janke, who acquired some property on 5th in Chicago. And so this is north of the railroad tracks in that neighborhood there that's adjacent to downtown but separated by the railroad tracks. And he was asking for some assistance in developing 7 cottage homes for essentially workforce housing. It's not subsidized, but they're smaller homes that would be appropriate for sort of workforce folks at a price point that hopefully they could afford. And what the agency can do is assist in some ways with infrastructure development. So the agency can't go onto the property and build homes for him that he then turns around and sells, of course, but we can assist with right-of-way projects. And so the plan, kind of at a 30,000-foot view, is Mr. Janke would go in and he would build his project, including paying for all of the utility and right-of-way type infrastructure improvements. And then the assessed value of his property should go from about $130,000, currently it's vacant ground, to approximately $2.2 million. And the taxes that are attributable to that increase in value are available to the Urban Renewal Agency to effectively pay for. In this case, it would be a reimbursement to Mr. Janke for the costs of those right-of-way improvements. It's a very, very small project area. The Caldwell Agency has had very large areas, not just within the city, but by statewide standards. The East Urban Renewal area that included downtown and then all the way out to Sky Ranch on Highway 2026 was a very large area. There's currently a large area we call the North area that is off of the Notice Parma exit. This is very, very small, one lot, one property owner. And it was really done because the agency felt like it was the right project in the right place. And so we as staff have kind of done the lift of trying to put together this urban renewal area, which is required in order to capture that tax increment and then reimburse the developer who is going to be responsible for that increase in property value. And then it can be reimbursed. So that's really the kind of the nuts and bolts of the plan that he approached the agency with. He would bear the upfront cost, and then he would have a reimbursement agreement with the agency, and then once that tax money comes in, it would go to him to reimburse those costs. So that really is the substance of the plan that we are asking for you to evaluate based on the city's comprehensive plan, and that request is statutory. So in any time that the city is forming an urban renewal area, and again, it is the city council that does it. The Urban Renewal Agency can propose areas, which it's doing in this case, but ultimately the decision to create it is a city council decision. And so I don't want you to be confused about whether you're creating an Urban Renewal Agency tonight. You're not. But part of that step is that the council is to transmit the plan to the Planning and Zoning Commission to have you look at what's going on and analyze it based on the comprehensive plan. So that's the role that you play, and that's what we're here to do tonight. The comprehensive plan that is in your packet begins on page 178. It's different in form, probably from what you're used to seeing, but it is the same in substance. It is staff's effort, in this case, not Joe and his staff, but my office, Mr. Waterman, my partner, actually put this analysis together. So he went through the comprehensive plan, much like Joe would do, and looks at those goals and does an analysis of whether or not those goals are met and furthered by this plan or not. And so what is there is a proposed analysis, but again, it's like the ones you get from planning and zoning staff. It's proposed for your consideration. You can adopt it, you can amend it. And so anyway, I'm going to go through that analysis, but that, at the end of the day, then, you agree with this analysis, you can change this analysis, it's really your decision and recommendation to the city council based on hopefully you had a chance to review the plan, which I know is lengthy, but it was in your packet. And it is what is being evaluated based on this template that's before you. As with most comprehensive plans, there's numerous goals. Some of those goals are furthered by a particular development, as you're probably well aware. Some goals are not furthered, but they're not harmed either. They're kind of not relevant to what's going on. And then there could potentially be a situation where a proposed development runs contrary to some of your comprehensive plan goals. In our analysis, there are some of your goals that are really not affected one way or another. And then there are some, certainly, we think, that are furthered by this proposed plan. And so I'm going to go through those. I'm starting on the second page, page 2 of the proposed analysis. It's page 179 in your packet. And this is kind of broken down into the various categories of consistent with your comprehensive plan. You'll note that the vision for connected communities, vibrant gathering spaces, because of the small scope of this project, there's not a lot there that is furthered. There's certainly nothing inconsistent with this project and those goal objectives. There are some sidewalk improvements, which helps with a connected community, could also be potentially a public gathering space. And there's certainly nothing that's vitiating or taking away any sort of public gathering space. The vision for rivers, parks, and agriculture, again, this doesn't really trigger any of that. It certainly is not a negative in terms of the city's recognized importance of the rivers, parks, and agricultural uses. When you get down into kind of the bottom of that second page, this is where you're really going to see how, at least in our opinion, and I think the opinion of the Urban Renewal Agency, there's really some alignment between the objectives and goals of your comprehensive plan and what is planned there for Mr. Jinke's property. Diversified housing options to accommodate varying household incomes, lifestyles, and sizes, promoting inclusivity and affordability. One of the struggles, and I think you probably deal with it regularly, is affordable housing. And this is intended to allow home ownership for people who can get into that lower end, that workforce housing. People who may be on a policeman's salary or a teacher's salary can find something that they can afford. And so we think that diversifying and affordability objectives that are outlined sort of there under subsection 1 clearly are met. I'm on to page 3 now. Create distinct and exclusive neighborhoods with a focus on high quality design, connectivity, and livability. There's probably some limited connection there to how this is designed and where it's located. I know one of the things I think this has to do with quality design and livability is this is a major investment by a developer in an area that has not had major investment for a long time. And really the trend in the area has been toward dilapidation and blight rather than revitalization and redevelopment, which is going on with this project. Number 3 there, concentrate development closer to the city's core and preserve rural transition at the city's western and northern boundaries. This is an infill development. It is clearly walkable to the downtown core. And so the location of the development, both for preserving that rural and urban interface, right? It's far away from that toward the center of the city, but it also meets goals in your comprehensive plan that speak to the accessibility of downtown and the financial support of downtown that could be provided by residents who live in relatively close proximity. As an aside, there has been some development pressure for residential uses right in the downtown core, like the Tillian, the apartment type stuff. That presents a real parking challenge at times. And so this, where you're outside the downtown core but walkable, I think is kind of a unique opportunity to try to accomplish both of those goals. Moving on to page 4. The vision for intentional and distinct centers, I don't know how much that's going to be furthered by this. It is part of the comprehensive plan analysis. It certainly is not detracting from those objectives. I don't know how much, in honesty, that it's furthering them. But I do think as part of your comprehensive plan analysis, the question not only is, have you ticked every goal and moved it in the right direction? This one more on the other side. Are you doing something that harms the achieving of these goals? And I think here the answer is more neutral. We're not maybe advancing it as much as some developments could, but we're certainly not harming that either. Page 5, ensure that new development provides adequate public services and infrastructure to meet Caldwell's needs. One of the things that's nice about this project is this collaboration between the agency, the Urban Renewal Agency, and the developer is intended specifically to develop that infrastructure. And if you've driven through or spent any time in that neighborhood, kind of between the interstate and the railroad tracks, and 10th Avenue and Centennial, lots of dilapidated infrastructure. And so this is a small area, I get it, but it also furthers that goal. If I could, I don't know if that was my,
Yeah, was that the time?
if I may just
You could.
wrap up.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what we just went over, those 6 points are outlined there. You'll note that there is a place for you to adopt the finding if you want to, while at the same time making some kind of recommendation for the City Council. We'd like to get this approved and signed tonight if possible. Thank you for your consideration. I'll stand for questions.
Thank you. Questions from commissioners? I have a question, and certainly there's quite a few attachments, and so just quite simply, so the reimbursement to the landowner would extend for how many years?
It's a product of the feasibility study that's attached. We were hopeful that it would be done in about 8. I think it's going to wind up being more like 12 or 13.
Okay.
And it depends on some unknowns like levy rates and things.
Sure. And so the reimbursement rate is up to the, and again, because just for clarity's sake, is up to the amounts that, up to what amount, I guess?
Sure, so the developer pays for all that up front, and he has to prove what he paid for, so he'll have to prove up his cost. That would be the maximum that he could
Okay,
recover.
thank you. Questions for Commissioner Boutros?
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of material, so I want to give
Go
you.
ahead. My only question would be, would this require, because of the density and everything, because this is a traditional neighborhood, with the cottage-style housing that is proposed, would this require a rezone for these specific lots?
Mr. Chair, Commission, my understanding when we looked at this before, the answer was no, but I have not seen the latest plan, so I don't know exactly how many units he has proposed at this time. So yeah, we would look at that as it came through, and infrastructure, frankly, regardless of how many units, generally, the public infrastructure of the beer car is going to be the same.
And so it would be a separate application altogether? For
Correct.
the actual development itself?
Absolutely.
Thank
It
you.
would, and just to clarify, Commissioner Vance, that what you're doing tonight would not approve any zone change, or any land use entitlement would
Right.
still be required to be obtained.
Just basically bringing a dilapidated area up to a more standard and usable area, basically.
Thank you. Commissioner Boutros?
Okay. So the document states that the plan only aligns with Vision for Connected Community by providing some sidewalk improvements. I don't think that qualifies as meeting the goal. I'm not sure how that got written in there, but it's a stretch. The document states that the plan aligns with the Vibrant Gathering Spaces goal by not replacing any public gathering spaces. That's a negative. It should not be attempting to claim that the goal is met. It's not clear to me that every single goal has to be met, and we should not be stretching the definition. When we looked at the comprehensive plan, it was clear what the intent was. This is not meeting the intent of meeting those goals. The document states the plan meets the goal Vision for Rivers, Parks, and Agriculture by providing sidewalk improvements. That's the same thing, and it doesn't meet that goal either. A reading of the goals would show that. The Vision for Quality Neighborhoods topic for points 1, 2, and 3 from the comprehensive plan regarding housing options, distinct neighborhoods and concentrating development closer to the city core. The plan makes generalized claims about meeting these goals, but there are no specifics. And further, the development district is one small area that was a gas station and cannot meet the goals of the comprehensive plan in more than a nominal way. It's a good idea that somebody is building cottage homes that are walkable to the downtown, but is it something that requires an urban renewal district? And I'll talk a little bit more about that. The vision for intentional and distinct centers, points 1, 2, 3, and 6, describe broader development activities that this very small district cannot meet in more than a nominal way. This plan stretches credibility as justification for creating an urban renewal district that is very small, and it creates a bureaucracy that has no set end date. That's important. When you look at the details of this, the taxing district runs for a maximum of 20 years, but the agency itself has no end. Even though even though the taxing portion must end in 20 years. The plan describes the capability for the agency to continue past that time and to even retain control of property under its jurisdiction past that time. The estimated administrative costs, which are attachment 6 in the plan, for this lot, one lot, over the term of the plan, $6.9 million. That's astonishing. That's for a .94 acre lot. The taxable assessed value, as was noted, of proposed improvements is $2.2 million, which is significantly less than the administrative costs over the term of the plan. This very small urban renewal district does not meet the goals of the comprehensive plan, which is what we were charged with evaluating first. And I'm going beyond that now, if you will indulge me. I don't think this urban renewal district should exist. Some other way to manage development of that empty lot needs to be found without creating a huge bureaucracy. Thank you.
Are there questions in that for the applicant?
He has an opportunity to
Would you like to respond? I guess the question is, would you like to respond?
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate your comprehensive plan analysis points. I do. I do understand, probably more than most, urban renewal agencies are controversial. The 6.9 million admin fees can't possibly be true for this area, so that could be a typo that was adopted somewhere else.
There's the detailed numbers. There's a table in attachment 6 which has, it adds up.
I'm not saying that you're lying to me. Okay? I
But
appreciate
no,
that
the
comes in there.
arithmetic
We will take a look at
is
that. We'll take a look at that.
intentional.
There won't be that much in admin fees could possibly be, but we'll take a look and we will get that cleaned up in terms of what the city council does with the overall plan. But your points and your analysis, Commissioner Boutros, on the comprehensive plan are relevant, right? Whether you think it meets the goal or not is what you're in that seat to do. And we provided you an analysis, and ultimately what you as a commission do with that draft analysis is going to be up to you.
Thank you. Other questions from commissioners? All right. Nobody signed up either way, so any final comments?
No, thank you for your consideration, and your analysis will be appreciated for the council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I'd entertain a motion to close public testimony.
So moved.
Commissioner Larson, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Boutros. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now time for us to dialogue.
I've had my say.
I think we know where Commissioner Boutros.
I would like to
stands.
say, I agree with you. I looked at those numbers and everything, and obviously, I don't understand everything. I'm fairly new to this, but I mean, that number was staggering. It shocked me for such an area and such a small lot. And in working with the city staff and everything like that, in what I do, there's a lot of questions that number brings up in my mind. You know,
$7 million.
The $7 million, of
Yeah.
course, and also the point of, like you pointed out, the 20-year. He said anywhere from started out at 8 into 12, has a grand total of 20 years. I guess I feel like that's just really pushing it way far out there, and that's well beyond what we should be considering for something like this, for such a small lot.
Yeah. I actually have similar sentiments on the administrative costs and some of those things. I do think that in looking at the actual analysis of, does it make sense with the comprehensive plan? It is a small lot, so we have to I think Commissioner Boutros, you used the word nominal multiple times in your assessment, and I don't disagree because it is a nominal, it's a tiny spot. So I think that's actually a fair assessment, but to that end, I do think that it does work with that comprehensive plan. That said, I don't know if it were to be a typo, I don't feel comfortable with that. Just moving that forward, I would feel like would need to be a complete application for me to feel comfortable, I'm recognizing this is just a recommendation to council, but I think that's that part. Were that to be a true number or not, public testimony is already closed, so if he has more information, I would entertain a motion to reopen public testimony.
So he has attachment 6 up on his screen.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too.
Yeah, but we've closed public.
Yeah, we've closed.
I can clarify your concern if you'd like me to before you.
Joe, we could reopen public testimony? I could entertain a motion to reopen public testimony?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
So Commissioner Larson,
Second.
Commissioner Butchers, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
You
and
have a
so just
chance.
for the record, this is
Thank
to
you.
clarify that specific attachment.
Sure, I'm looking at attachment 6. If you look at the $6.9 million figure, that is at the bottom of total for all areas. That's all the urban renewal areas, so it includes the very large north area. The total for the new area, which is what would be relevant to this particular one, is the $60,000 number.
The far right bottom
Right,
column.
Bottom right.
For the
Bottom right is
new area.
for what you're being asked to consider.
I see.
And again, you're not being asked to consider the plan as a whole, you're being asked to just do a comprehensive plan analysis, but in terms of the admin costs, the total for the legal services, liability, insurance, financial, all that stuff is the $60,000. That's attributable to this particular area.
Joe, would you say that's?
Thank you, that was worth reopening.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I wasn't better
Well,
prepared.
it
for your
just doesn't specify site B or anything. It just says Plan A actually on here. And so it's based on the current subject for information curve in Plan A. It doesn't even list for this attachment.
This is, so this is known as Site B.
Yeah.
So if it had said Site B
Site
at
B
the
here,
top of the
we would have
column.
more understood that.
agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed.
But as well, I erroneously was looking at the for all areas, not just this. So thank you for the
Yeah, that is-
clarification.
Yeah, my apologies that I didn't have that at my fingertips.
Thank you.
Since we did reopen a testimony, I do have a question. Chair, what's the average, I think you guys used the word sunset for you guys' projects. Do you
20.
have an idea?
Sure.
Is it 20 years?
Yeah, they're typically set at 20 years, and particularly for the larger areas. And if you'll just indulge me, Commissioner Larson, it's hard to foresee how quickly development occurs. And the way the finances work with the reallocated tax dollars and the tax increment, I mean, the increased tax values, when that happens, is very relevant to how the area progresses through its projects. If it happens early, there's going to be more overall increment. You may be able to close it out sooner, but we don't know. And if it happens late, you're going to need those extra years. This one is different because it's small. All of the increments coming from one development, we know it's happening right away. And so the reason we don't know about the time frame is that increment, as it's collected, is just going to go back to the developer. And when we hit that same number that he's invested in those infrastructure improvements, it will end. That we think will happen about year 12. We were hoping that it would happen in about year 8, but I think this one, and this is a recommendation that you can convey to the council, is set at 20 years. That's the maximum allowed by the statute, and it's sort of our standard operating procedure because of those unknowns.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. So I have another.
I guess, just for clarity, so then the expectation would be if everything was reconciled in year 12, then this area would be sunset?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, yes. There's nothing more to do. And
So
so it would sunset as soon as we get him reimbursed.
So if I'm looking at the page above that, the total amount of that as projected for this is right around $175,000. That would be the city's total investment in this, correct?
That's the estimate.
The
correct.
estimate as
And-
of
and
right
so
now.
if it's more than that, it's more than that. If it's less, it's less. but
It does say higher,
Yeah.
up or down, but that is as of projected right now.
Right.
Also, next question I had is, based on the map and everything, it shows, Fifth Street being a major portion of that. Would that require closure, and what kind of infrastructure work would be done on that? I guess on an engineering standpoint for Fifth Street, what would be looked at in that? Is just rebuilding that portion of the road?
I must apologize. I was reading an email. Would you please repeat your question?
The way the map, the area drawn here includes a portion of Chicago and a portion of Fifth Street and the intersection and everything like that. Chicago being, I don't know if it's considered a major artery, but I think it's a major artery of Caldwell and everything. With the idea that this is an 8-year to 12-year plan, like, what would we would be looking at as far as closures for the revitalization of this area?
As far as like a temporary road closure or a permanent?
Well, are any long-term plans for Fifth or Chicago? Are there any other plans involved in this that this would tie into, is I guess my question.
We don't currently have any long-term plans to do any road work in that area, and I apologize, I want to make sure I'm understanding the question. So if we're doing road work, there could be potential road closures for
Yes.
the construction, but we don't have any like closures planned.
Well, my question that pertains is, again, this is a very small area, one intersection of a road that I think is important, but we're putting money into this with, it reminds me of the USTIC, what happened to USTIC. Caldwell put all this money into USTIC to go over the freeway, expand the road, widen it, for Nampa to just stop. Again, it's basically throwing good money at bad. You know what I mean? There's nothing else going to come of it. You know what I mean? I get it will help the developer, but it may not broaden for the community overall.
Is it appropriate to ask why the boundary of this district is over Fifth and Chicago? What work is contemplated in the rights-of-way of Fifth and Chicago?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Commission, when Lee came to us originally, and not just planning, but also engineering, they would have to replace the sidewalk in a large portion because it's not good quality. And also, I believe there's an approach to Chicago or Fifth that would have to get closed as well. They would have to take access through the alley, which needs to be improved to a certain degree as well. There's a lot of infrastructure in quote-unquote right-of-way, actually, that would be part of any project on that lot.
Which is why those roads are included
Correct.
in that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and again, as a reminder, the urban renewal funds are available for those right-of-way improvements. We can't reach onto private property and build somebody's house for them.
Right.
So that right-of-way has to be included because that's where the project really is going to be constructed.
For what would be considered city project in city right-of-ways, but so that the developer itself doesn't have to upfront those funds, basically.
He does. He does have to build them, and he does have to dedicate them, and he doesn't pay for them. Usually, that would be the obligation of the developer. Here, there's a mechanism, we're really working toward a mechanism to incentivize this kind of development by reimbursing those costs over time. So the question about closure is,
Subsidizing the cost, essentially.
there would probably not be a complete closure of Fifth or Chicago if he's just redoing the sidewalks. If he stretches out a little bit onto the pavement, if that's required, there might be, some temporary closure while there's some repaving done there, but it certainly wouldn't be for 12 years, right? I mean, it would just be for probably a number of days while they construct it.
Like I said, my only concern there is just, like, again, we're putting money into it, and again, it's mostly for sidewalks, as long as it's not necessarily the roadways, because those roadways are a much larger project that would need to be addressed at that point, so.
Thank you. Any other comments while we're open for public testimony? If not, I would entertain a motion to close public testimony.
So moved.
Commissioner
Thank you,
Larson,
Mr. Chairman.
second for,
Thank you.
Commissioner Boutros. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so time for us to dialogue.
So I appreciate the clarification. I'm still not comfortable with the creation of the urban renewal district bureaucracy to cover such a small property. I still believe there's got to be a better way to do this without the long-term impact.
Thank you for that. I hear you. I actually think, as I noted initially, I actually thought that that it did meet the comprehensive plan. But if we go into that area, this is underdeveloped area, underutilized area, underserved area. And so having opportunities to leverage something like urban renewal to help create some revitalization, even if it's one block at a time, allows for a neighborhood that's woefully under served. And I mean, if anybody's spent time over there in this area, I mean, I'm over in that area often. And so I do think that this is a mechanism that we use, because otherwise we don't have, as we know, that it's the developers, it's other infrastructure or individuals that want to come in to do that fix those things. Nobody's coming in to fix those things. And we, as a city, aren't, dedicating time or monies, excuse me, at that time to support this right now. And I think this is an opportunity to do that. So with the clarification, I am in favor of this. Other comments?
Yeah, I do have one question for staff, which I don't think they can answer, but I'm going to ask anyway.
Staff can offer
Yeah, so
clarification.
just clarity, what's the normal, and I'm going to use Ramsey's words here, bureaucracy cost that we have for a normal plan? So we approved the development, and if they're going to develop a lot that's 100 by 100 or something similar size, is it, I don't think you know, but is it, I guess I'm trying to say, I'm guessing it's not substantially larger than this, but I'm wondering if we have an idea if it's like 10 or 15,000 or a couple percent higher. Do you have any idea on what the magnitude of difference is? I'm assuming it's like something small. I'm assuming whatever it is, 170, 60,000, I'm assuming those numbers are not astronomically larger.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Larson, I would say, I don't know exact, right? Every lot is different. It could be the exact 100 by 100 lot, one block over, it's probably going to vary, right? So there's always going to be nominal changes there. My understanding with what has to go into these urban renewal things and these proposed numbers is they're not just willy-nilly. Like, these are based off of bids, sometimes very specific bids, or they're based off of very specific projects that are similar. So there shouldn't be major changes between what is there. But then if you also look at the numbers in there, it includes about $29,000 in contingency, which would be, right, that certain percentage of like, oh, okay, we only anticipate 145, but we already anticipated maybe, our lovely inflation and other things that could come into effect over the next 8 to 12 years, as Mr. Hilty noted. So I would not imagine it being beyond that. And it may not even be close to this, because this includes paving and includes certain road mix stuff they may not have to do, but that's the point of at least allow the cap, so that way we could use it if we need to again, incentivize the use of this program.
Okay.
Commissioner Vance.
So I have another question for staff. So at this point in time, we have no plans. This is just for the urban renewal for the funds associated for them to basically improve the infrastructure of the property. And it would take it from an assessed value of what, if I remember, it was is $80,000 per lot to $2.234 million. I mean, it seems a bit of a jump to say the property just by changing the infrastructure would jump all that much.
I believe that the 2.2 million valuation includes the cottage homes that would be built on
That
the
makes
property.
more sense. Okay,
The
so that's
home
fair.
values.
But Mr. Chair, Commissioner Vance, to clarify, yet the only thing tonight is just a recommendation regarding the urban renewal piece over the property and whether it meets the comp plan. No specific development.
Yeah.
Mr. Genke has not come through and submitted that to us yet. I'm assuming he'll have another roundtable with us to discuss it with us further.
Yeah. Okay. I think the other point is, after the 8 to 12 years, whatever it may be, then those are additional tax revenues for the city those property owners, whoever owns it, would be obligated to pay the city once this reimbursement process has done. So it eventually will generate tax revenue for.
Well, but what we've also discussed with council and everything, residential does not generate very much tax revenue, to be honest, at all. So, I mean, I get your point there, but we have noted that residential is, I mean, condos and multiple probably does do more than single family, absolutely, but yeah.
Other discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion at this time.
So I'm willing to do a motion to recommend for denial Based upon the testimony and evidence in record in this matter and upon the findings of fact and conclusions of law set forth herein, I do hereby determine and move that the request for a recommendation on whether the urban renewal plan is in conformity with the comp plan of the City of Caldwell is recommended for denial because it is not in compliance with the comprehensive plan.
Okay. So there was a motion to deny. Is there a second?
I second.
Says a second from Commissioner Vance. So we'll do roll call, but just remember an affirmative would be to deny. The affirmative vote from a commissioner would be to deny. Roll call, please.
Boutros,
Yes.
Vance,
Yes.
Zamora,
No.
and Larson.
Yes.
Okay. And with that, motion carries. And so we'll go ahead and close this public hearing and then move on to the last item on our agenda, which is adjournment. So I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Commissioner Larson, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Buchos, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Adjourn.